What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Joel Friday TV podcast. I am Joel Friday. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Lay the smack down on like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and the message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys also know, we are a talk show, and we're live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So you can call in at any point during the show and we can get into some stuff. We can agree, disagree, whatever you want to do. We can get into it. If for whatever reason, sorry, I forgot to give out the number. 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. We could talk about whatever is on your mind. If for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV. The link is in the description, or go directly to the YouTube live chat. Hit the super chat button. Send your question or comments there. I'll read them live on air. Amazing stuff. We are live on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and punchy.tv. So anywhere you want to watch the show, you can choose and you can watch it live. And I would hope that you hop up in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, Instagram comments, punchy.tv comments, and just, have some fun. Amazing stuff. I got some stuff I want to share with you guys today, but the first thing I'm going to do is, hold on here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go straight to a call. I feel like Hake right now. He goes straight to calls sometimes. I'm going to go straight to a call right here. And then I'll share my what I have prepared for you guys. All right, we'll see. We'll just see. We'll let the Lord do his thing. Let me go to Mark out of Los Angeles. Mark, welcome to the show. You're on the air. Hold on one second, Mark. For some reason, the lines do this to me. I think it's because they're muted. Mark, could you hear me?
Yeah.
How's it going, Mark?
Oh, good. First time caller to your show. I appreciate it.
This is the famous Mark from
that's me.
from the Hake
LA.
Report and American Anchor Baby.
Yes, sir. First time caller, and
appreciate
you have
it.
a good show. I'd like listening to it. But the reason I called today was because Hake's co-host on his show this morning said that he challenged Hayden, who's another caller, to point out a successful right-winger. And, of course, Hake didn't think quick enough, and he didn't come up with an answer. So in order to help Hake and to answer the other guys, no, he didn't. I was screaming at the phone. I could think of two right off. It would be Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. I don't like the term right-wing when it comes from the snake from Phoenix, but by his terminology, by his definition, Trump and J.D. Vance are both successful, and they're both right-wingers. So, Hake, if you're listening, you're not quick on the quip there, man. I mean, come on.
Let me ask really quick, Mark. So, are you responding to Joe on Hake's show? Well,
yes, sir.
That was a different show, and some people who watch my show may not be familiar with what happened, so we can't get too much into that. But I want to ask you really quick, and you can ask me some questions in regards to maybe Trump or JD, but not a previous caller on a different show.
Sure,
but
no problem.
Let me ask you really quick, because I've definitely heard plenty of your calls when you call into the Hake Report American Anchor Baby. And I think that you have some pretty solid things to say about just about truth and being honest about what's going on in the country. But one of my things that I always one of the bones I have to pick with you is that you really stand strong on this racial thing when it comes to the whites, and
Yes.
you tend to. I could be wrong about what I'm gonna say, but you tend to believe that white people are a superior race to the rest
Yes,
of the world.
I do.
You believe that's true, and why do you believe that?
Well, if you look at the world today, and if you look at world history, and if you look, there's a historian by the name of Arnold Toynbee. He's considered by many to be the best historian in the history of the world. And I may be off on my numbers by a little bit, so forgive me.
Yeah.
But if memory serves, Toynbee said that the white race has created roughly 15 civilizations in world history. The Asians have created, again, I'm not sure on the number, but for the sake of argument, let's say 10 civilizations in the history of the world. But today, to this date, there has not been a single civilization anywhere on Earth that was created by the black man. Nowhere. And if you're going to tell me the Zulus, which one guy tried to argue with me a while back, they weren't a nation. They were savages out in the jungle. There are no comparison to the white race. We put a man on the moon.
And how can
there
we?
are no African countries that even have a space program. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. So how can you confirm that everything entirely was created by the white man? How could you confirm that? Maybe you could date it back to when we had photos, photography, maybe some
created
paintings.
By the white man, by the way.
Right, maybe some paintings, stuff like that. But how could you confirm that dating back before these things were even created, where we can even find out? How could you confirm that that was the case?
Well, you could look at history. You could look at historians. First, let me back up. I'm not saying that everything created was created by the white man. I think what was it? George Washington Carver invented peanut oil. For what that's worth, it's true and it's a good thing. But come on, Joel, you know yourself that if you go into a white neighborhood and you're lost, you're going to be treated well. But if I go into a black neighborhood and I'm lost, I don't think I'm going to get the same treatment
I agree.
that you would get.
I agree, I agree, but I think that you're basing it off of times of today, and back in different areas and back in different times, there were other people who were known, other races that weren't black that were considered inferior. And I think that if you go all the way back to whatever time, it hasn't always been the whites who were in charge or the whites who led the way or whatever the case is. There has been different people in different areas, maybe I don't know, different countries that are ran by more the majority, different color. They I can't say they do the best, but there's people there who are decent. So I'm trying to just understand where you believe that the white is the right. And I'm not against, hey, I'm not saying like, what's wrong with you for saying it? But I'm just trying to understand the mindset of why you think white is the right way to go.
Well, I can give you several reasons. Another reason I haven't even spoken of is the IQ test. Whites score 10 to 15 points higher than Negroes on the IQ test. And most of the other countries that have democracies.
But why do you think that is, though? Why do you think? Because that's what I'm trying to understand. Why do you think Why do you think that the white people tend to score higher on the testing here?
I would say that it's genetic. It's in the blood.
Okay.
It's not environmental. Environmental is what the left, the communists, the white haters, that's the excuse they'll give for the lower scores. But I personally believe it's genetic, that we're just intelligent. I mean, look at the cultures we've created. We went to the moon. We discovered America. I mean, come on, give us credit. Again, are there any third world countries that have a space program that you're aware of?
I agree. And I think that these things have come about due to the times of today. And dating back hundreds of years, maybe 100 years more, we've seen that whites tend to be leading the way in decency and being, building things and all that stuff. But that only predates to a certain time that we know of. We don't know how it was thousands of years ago. We don't know how it was, hundreds of years ago. We only know based off of what we've been told. And for me, let me just say really quick, is for me, I think it's more so based off of a spirit thing, because I can't imagine God's picking people based off of the color. Like, I'm a favor the white man more. I'm a favor the black person. I think it's more cultural, and because blacks tend to think in groups and they tend to have grown up believing the lie of races and all these things, they fall into that, and it is inherited from their parents. But white people also have inherited decency and all these things, but it doesn't mean that they are the leaders in godly way of living.
Well, no, there's immorality amongst the whites, no doubt about it. I agree with you. But are you familiar with Stanley and Livingston? They were the first white men to go to Africa centuries ago.
First white men. Okay. Never heard of them.
Stanley and Livingston. You could look it up.
Okay.
When they went to Africa, they saw that the natives were using wooden spears instead of metal. I mean, metal had been around for centuries before Livingston went to Africa. But the black people in Africa, the natives, were using wooden spears. Secondly, we enslaved the black people. The white man did, in America. It wasn't the other way around.
Yeah.
The black people did not enslave. Well, there was actually. I'm sorry, I have to back up. There was white slavery, but that would have been in Libya when they kidnapped white women and sold them. Until the U.S. Marines came in and liberated those white women and took over Libya, where the pirates were doing this evil. And Libya is considered a part of Africa.
Okay.
But what my point is, that I stray from the point. The point is, the white man had the ability and the intelligence, whether you agree with slavery or not, to have the ability to enslave.
And I believe you. Not to cut you off.
Race.
I'm not to cut you off, because I only have a little bit of time here on my show. I only do it an hour.
Sure.
But where do you what I'm really trying to get at is, where do you think that comes from? Because that's where my point kind of lies, is that you're right. I don't even disagree. That's why I say I don't disagree with a lot of things that you say that I hear you say on the other shows. But my thing is that I'm always thinking about, where does that come from? Where does this decency come from? Where does this know-how come from? We could say ancestry, right? It comes from God. But why does God have, so then are you saying that God favors white people over the rest of humanity?
Well, if you look at the Bible condoned, I should say, slavery. So you're not going to like what I'm going to say here, but I'm going to try to make you understand. I believe personally that black people and other colored races were put here to serve us. Now, I know that's going to strike you in the wrong way.
No, I don't mind. But what makes you believe that? And I don't mind at all. Like, I'm interested. So what makes you believe that, though?
The Christians in the Bible Belt of the South, the white Christians of the Bible Belt of the South, who were slave owners, they believe that what I just said, that the black people were here to serve us, and that we should treat our slaves with respect.
Okay.
If you look at Woodrow Wilson, the president, his father was actually a slave owner, and he was a preacher. Woodrow Wilson's father was, and he used that. And I can't give you the verse in quote. I think it's in Paul, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Hake would know this. It's condoned in the Bible, slavery. So if you put two and two together, it would make sense that the black people with lower IQs could be enslaved and used as slaves by the white man.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
If we were all truly equal, that could have never been allowed to happen. We couldn't enslave Indians, even though they're not equal to the white man either. We couldn't enslave them. And that's one of the reasons they went to Africa to bring slaves here.
I understand that the point that you're trying to make a little bit more now. I think that you're looking at IQ, and IQ is subject to change because that's based on like intellectual knowledge and ability. So anybody can, study or study long enough and teach their kids to study and pass on the generations to where their IQ just gets better and better and better over time. But what I'm talking about is spirit. So if the same God that created me, who has a spirit to overcome and lead myself and lead my family, is also in the next man, whether white, yellow, green, or orange, then how was I created on earth to serve, or not me, but a certain color created on earth to serve another certain color when they both have the same spirit that was created by God? That's where I'm confused.
Well, I think it's because God, in my view, God's plan was to make the black people serve the white man, but they would be taken care of. There would be full employment. They'd be well fed. Everything in the old South, things were peaceful.
But we're about to go back. We're about to go back in the circle, but I'm trying to understand is that, like, you're just saying they're meant to serve them because their IQ is lower. But what if there's a black person whose IQ is not low? They have a high IQ based off of their circumstances. Maybe they were raised by a white family. Why is that black person with a high IQ still supposed to be subject to the white man?
Well, now, if you go back to 150 years, you did have black intellectuals. Okay. I'm not going to I'd be a fool to try to say that there are no black intellectuals, either then or now. And I'm not using intellectual, the word, the way Hake uses it. I'm using it as an intelligent person.
Right.
And there were black people that that were exceptional.
And
they should have been free. I don't think they should have been held in slavery, but they're few. That's a small minority.
But are they supposed to be
white basketball players? Are there?
But let me make that point right there. Are those few individuals, are they created to serve the white man, or they're able to be set apart, be free, and live amongst the whites?
Yes, I would, but they would have to go back. I would have freed them from slavery. I would have worked out they did have a thing called the Lincoln Plan, Abraham Lincoln Plan, had he not been assassinated, where they were going to deport and repatriate the black people back to Africa. And those individuals that we're speaking of, the more intelligent blacks of the time, would have been the leaders. We had Marcus Garvey. He could have he could have been a black Moses and had his people follow him back. But they won't leave. They got it too good here with us racist, quote unquote, white people. They've got it too good, so they're not going to leave. They're dying to get here. But I don't want to hold you up.
No, but let me just say this last thing is, I agree with that point though, is that like I understand your stance on like, okay, we'll go back to where you came from and just be smart over there, and then let us be smart over here, type of thing. But the exception that you made, you said that there are few individuals who are black and they shouldn't be subject to the white man because they're smart enough. Then doesn't that tell you that the same thing in them that makes them smart, their spirit or God leading them, is the same thing that every individual has and can have? So then you would agree with me that no man should be subject to another one based off of color if they're all capable.
Well, I mean, I agree that if they are intellectual and they are, nonviolent. Well, what they did in the South was, if you fit that category, you were called a house, and I'm not, the word I'm not going to use. Okay. They would give you a little privilege, okay? But if you were super intellectual, I think the plan was to get the smartest black people to play Moses and have their people, this is going back 150 years, to go back to their native homeland, and we would have all been at peace. There wouldn't be crime in the streets. There wouldn't be all this interracial rape. There wouldn't be all this evil that's going on now if we had peaceably separated the races.
Okay.
We can't do it. We may not be able to do it now.
Yeah.
We could have done it in the 60s, but I think it's too late now.
I can understand.
And I don't know really what the future holds, but all I'm going to try to do is expose what's going on.
So would you take it back? Would you take it back when you said that you think that blacks are created to serve or any other color or serve whites by God's design? Do you take that part back?
Well, I got to kind of believe it. I mean, I can't talk to God, but if you go back to the days of the pyramid, and if you look at the hieroglyphics, you'll see that the people that were building the pyramids were black because they show them on the hieroglyphics, but they were slaves. So even before American slavery, if you go back thousands of years, black people were used as slaves even then. So I don't know if it's God's will. I can't answer that, specifically because, we don't know unless you read the Bible and try to take from the Bible God's word on these issues. I don't want to second guess what God may or may not have intended.
But in your belief, you believe that blacks are created here to serve, even if they think individually they're created to serve the whites based off of what criteria though? Why are they made to serve the whites? In what way?
Well, first of all, it was their own people in Africa actually it was the Arabs that sold black people into slavery. And when black people came to the U.S. as slaves for the first, maybe the first 150 years or so, everybody was loving it. The black people were living, they were well fed, they weren't starving like they would have been in Africa. And I would venture to say that a black person that was a slave 150, 200 years ago had an easier life than the black people in Africa today.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. But I think if they had the opportunity to be free, but also they were led by God to be as smart and intellectual in the way that you define it, and they were smart people, then what would make them beneath whites and not side by side with whites in their own country, building their own America, but the black version? How would that make them not equal to the whites?
If they did that, what you just said, I would fall back and say I was wrong.
Nice.
Black people are equal to whites, but they're not. I mean, look at Africa.
I agree
today.
with that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
But would you agree that the people that are elected as president or prime minister, whatever they call it, in these African nations, are they the brightest and best?
No, matter of fact, I think that a lot of the black, and I don't know every black person, and there are smart ones out there that in the way that you speak of, but for the most part, when you look at blacks as a whole, they are dumbed down and demoralized, and they're followers, and they think alike, and they're not very smart at all. So I agree I agree with that standard that you say, but I just want to make sure I got it clear that you're saying that God himself designed black people or people of color in general to be, in your words, to be servants to the whites. You believe that God designed them to be servants to the whites?
I do. And I think what happened was Satan himself got into some of these so-called civil rights leaders, and they provoked all this hatred against the white man. Just go back to the 1950s. Everything in America, for the most part, everything in America was segregated and safe.
Right.
You didn't have race riots. You didn't have black people going into jewelry stores and looting them. You didn't have all this interracial stuff.
So Satan went in. So
probably the last decade of true Americanism.
So you say Satan did. So Satan infiltrated the black race, and he made them subject to the whites, not God.
Well, the leadership of the black civil rights movement, for example. Now, I would make an exception though for Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, because those black people did not accept welfare. They don't believe in race mixing, and for the most part, they're anti-communist.
Right. So then
those
if
black
one
people-
person, but that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm getting confused on what you're saying here, Mark, because you're saying that black people were by God's design are subject to white people to serve whites, but there's exceptions. There's some blacks who aren't that way. So if there's some, then there's none. It has to be either all or none. So are you saying that all black?
Are you saying that they're all the? No, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Are you saying, because it sounds like you're saying that all blacks or people of color are created by God to serve whites, but then you're saying that, oh wait, but there's some exceptions who are equal to whites who are just as smart. Which one are you
Well, they're a minority. The smart ones, the intelligent ones, the ones that produce are a minority. Again, if you look at Africa today, where there has been no white racism to blame for their failures, they're still behind. They're behind. Again, I'm not going to say 100% every black person. That would be insane. But I do believe that the bulk of the black people can't make it on their own.
I agree.
They have to have white people to help them.
So, but it's not by God's design that they were that way. It's not by God's design that they were supposed to be subject to the whites. It's through whatever it is, whether they decided they were deceived by Satan, whatever the case may be, right? So many different things. But the parents were angry, parents were jacked up, but God designed everybody equal in general. So everybody is capable of being strong and creating things and building things, but not everybody uses it. So I just want to make it clear that you're not saying that black people aren't as smart as whites or any other people are not as smart as whites. They just are dumbed down and demoralized. That's what you're saying, right?
Well, yeah, the IQ test would back me up on that.
Right, but
I'm saying it.
I'm talking about God.
It is.
I'm talking about the way God created them,
Okay,
equal.
that's fine. I can't speak for God. I can only go by His word. And in the Bible, they do condone slavery.
Right. I'm not even against, because there was all kinds of different type of slaves. Of course, majority black, all kinds of different slaves. But I'm talking about spiritual capability. Is everybody just as capable as the whites?
To be
just the same as the white. Is every race capable, if they wanted to, be equal to the whites?
No. The answer to that would be no.
And is it because God created it that way, or just because over time, they're just not as smart IQ wise?
No, I don't think that the time has anything to do with it, because for all of history, Africa's been the dark continent. They haven't done anything they walked over the diamonds and the minerals of that mineral-rich continent for centuries, and didn't know how to mine the gold or mine the other minerals. It took white people to go over there and do those things. Now, I guess the red Chinese are buying off these corrupt black leaders in Africa to get possession of those minerals.
Yeah. No,
so, yeah.
No. Go ahead. Finish your point.
No, I was just going to say. It took white people and, in today's world, the Chinese, but it was the white man who went to Africa and mined all these minerals. The Chinese just copy us. They're good copiers. And now they're down there stealing from the black people in Africa. They're giving them, a little bit of money, and they're going to develop all those minerals to make, for example, bombs to kill us. So, Africa was the richest continent in mineral resources in the whole world. What? And Japan, who have virtually no minerals or no natural resources, would you rather live in Japan or would you rather live in any African nation?
No, I agree. No, I agree with your point. And I think that, and then I just got to move the calls here, but
sure.
I think that you say a lot of things on the money when it comes to reality. And I agree with a lot of things you say. And there's a lot of things, you're very smart. There's a lot of things that I don't know about that you're saying that could be true, because it seems like you got your eye on it when it comes to reality, what we see in front of us, what we can actually prove, and what we see as far as how the races are going. But I feel like you miss it. You miss the mark, no pun intended, but you miss the mark when it comes to the spiritual things, the spirituality, the way God designed and God's and purpose in designing people in general, or not designing people, but the way he made us in general, period. And I think that you miss that part of it, and you look too much based off of what you see in front of you, which is very telling in the sense that blacks are acting this way, but that doesn't mean that that's who they are and who they always been. But I feel like you judge them in that way.
I agree with that. But if you go back to the good old days of segregation, the black people were a lot more tame than they are today. And I grew up in the 60s, and I saw America fall. Even though we're 50, 60 years beyond the 60s, the rot of what happened in the 60s is maturing, you might want to say, today. In the 60s, everything was safe and up until the late 60s, after all the civil rights stuff passed. Every community was safe and segregated. Today, it's crime everywhere. You can't escape it.
What do you think?
The politics of this are just terrible. They want to take our guns.
I agree, and it's horrible what's going on, especially and there's a major attack going against white people right now. But let me ask this: do you believe in Adam and Eve?
Yes.
Do you think Adam was white?
Yep.
If God had favor over Adam being white, why didn't he let Satan deceive Adam in the same way Satan is deceiving the blacks today?
Why did he do it? I don't know.
Right.
I can't answer that. He was deceived by Satan the same way the white people today are being deceived by the communists who are saying there is no such thing as racial difference. We're all the same, and the black people are just white people with dark skin.
Everybody is being deceived in the same exact way. Everybody is being deceived in that way. White, black, Asian, everybody's being deceived by Satan. No one is exempt from it. In the same way, everybody also has the same amount of access to God. That's what makes us all equal, because we're all the same. And color to me is just irrelevant. But I get your points, Mark. Let's continue this another time. I got to move the calls. I only got an hour here.
Thanks, Joel. Hey, you're a good guy. I appreciate talking to you, and I'll call you back.
All right. Appreciate it, Mark. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Interesting. Let me move the calls here. Some people want to get in on this. Let me go to Reggie, a first-time caller out of Mississippi. Callers, be patient. I'll get to you as soon as possible. Let me go to Reggie. Reggie, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
What's up, man? It's good to talk to you. Before I get started, I want to say that I've started watching y'all maybe 4 years ago, and it's good to see you back. But
right on.
I was going to call in just to talk a little bit, and I heard that dude talking a little bit crazy, but I had a few points I actually wrote down, man. First of all, Adam was probably not white. I mean, he grew up in according to the Bible anyway, Adam and Eve grew up in part of Africa, which they would have a brown skin color. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of crazy to say that they was white.
No,
but
fair enough.
To say that blacks, what was that?
No, go ahead. Make your points.
I was going to say, to say that blacks are made to serve whites, man, honestly, if you want to look at the facts, man, honestly, you take a look at it, I mean, blacks are extremely smart. They are, what brings them down is their ego. And that's pretty much all that brings them down, man, because they are physically stronger than any other race, I think. And, I'm not kissing up the blacks, but I'm just saying I grew up around blacks. And this mindset, his mindset is going back 200 years or so. And no further than that, it seems like, this Mark guy. But, but no, I mean, we was all created equal, man. And to say this type of stuff, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just something. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Your phone call,
I appreciate you calling in too, Reggie. My thing is that, yeah, I get the points that he's trying to make, because when you look around, we just see like the black community today and we see the white community, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we don't have proof of what happened a certain amount of years ago. After a certain amount of years, we just don't have recollection of who was in charge, who was running what, or whatever the case is. And we only have what we have now. And I don't think it has to do with color. Like, for me, I like to look at it from a spiritual perspective. Growing up, I never thought I was incapable. I never thought that I was less than. Because I was never taught that. And, there's all different type of races are in all different type of living conditions. You see poor white people, you see rich white people, that's why I always say it's a spirit, because it doesn't make sense to me why God would create anybody, as far as we're talking about races, anybody different, less than. We all had the same issues. Whether Adam was black or white, he was still deceived by Satan. Whether Eve was black or white, she was still deceived by Satan, and then got to Adam. So it's all the same stuff. The Jews back in the day were hated by the Romans. The Romans, I think, were supposed to be white, and the Jews were not supposed to be white. So the Jews were like the quote unquote slaves back then. And then you have the Holocaust, where the Holocaust people were slave to the Germans. And so what were the Germans? The Germans weren't. So just so many different things. And to me, it's like everybody is just, for one, identifying with the wrong things. And for two, we're all the same in my eyes. That's just how I see it. If that makes sense.
Right, that's not really what I was wanting to touch on, man. But seeing him, and I see a lot of people in the comments saying beta caller calling after Mark, but I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Yeah, ignore the snake pit. They just cracking jokes.
But yeah, man. No, what I was going to ask you, man, what I was wanting to really ask you about was last night when the if you don't let me swapping subjects, Trump and the Elon call, man. What did you think about that?
Trump in the what?
The Elon conversation. Did you know anything about that?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it. Oh, I listened to it on sorry, I'm distracted here. I got the calls coming in. But yeah, I listened to it last night on the American Anchor Baby stream. I don't know if you know Nick.
I know Nick.
Yeah, he had it on his show and I watched it. I thought it was interesting. I mean, they talked about a lot of things that have already been spoken about. They didn't really get into anything new for the most part, but I think that solid points were being reiterated that I think should be, as far as like immigration and open borders. Like, that's a major issue that is not being dealt with. So I liked it, though. I thought it was a good conversation, and it's good to see people like Elon Musk, one of the elites as far as money goes, being more on the common sense side. So that was nice to hear. What'd you think about it?
Yeah. Oh, man, it's really good to hear. I've been a fan of both these guys for a very long time, so it's very nice to see both of them come together and break records. Their website couldn't really handle how many
I heard that
volume of people. So.
I heard that.
But yeah, as a truck driver, man, I've stayed all across the country in the last few years, and once Trump left office, Biden had he pretty much opened the border immediately, and you saw that as a truck driver, where you might have to stay in a hotel. Like, I had to stay in a hotel right in Denver, Colorado. Yeah. They were the nice hotel we stayed in would become overrun with illegals, man. Like, it was four beds on the floor and stuff like this. So it's really refreshing to see them talk about this type of stuff.
No, and a lot of people don't realize on the ground that this stuff is actually happening. They think it's just politics, talking points. Like, no, there are different people. I mean, I see it in Los Angeles. I go just drive around. A lot of these places have Hispanics running a lot of the businesses, and I actually know a few ones personally who are not legal. I actually know. I actually have conversation with them, and I see that it's actually happening, and they are in causing an influx in the inner cities where blacks
Right.
used to live and work, and now they're taking over those jobs, and you don't know if they're
And
legal or not. So it's definitely happening. People just aren't paying
for
attention.
sure. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not racist or nothing, but I love Mexicans. Like I love Mexican women, for example. But being in Denver, there, you see these guys that was coming off these buses, and they were just just pretty much act like they own the neighborhood, basically type of way, and it's just not the vibe that you should be setting, especially when you're coming over here, so called a refugee.
Right.
It's just not the.
No, and that's why I feel like if people were vetted and if people went through the legal process, you would be vetting sane people. You would be vetting people that understand if you're coming here, you're coming here to assimilate, but just to be a decent person. And if you had that vetting process, you would actually weed out a lot of people who have the wrong intentions coming here. That's why legal immigration is important, and that's why we should have it, because this is we have a lot of stuff over here that doesn't need to be taken advantage of by people who are going to do it in the wrong way. But I appreciate it, Reggie. I got to move the calls here. I'm running out of time.
Right, man. I appreciate you, man. I'll call you back some other time.
Yeah, man. Call me again. Appreciate it. All right. Got to move the calls. It's a mess. But Trump's the guy. If you guys hear me saying Trump's the guy. And anyway, I don't have time to get into that. Trump's the guy. Because you can say he's mean and rough and too harsh, but that's what we need right now. That's what we need. For in the White House, we need somebody who's going to be tough. And he may not be the entire person that you want him to be, the loving and praise Jesus, even though he does. But that's not what we need him for. He has a job to do, and we need him to be tough and strong. And a little mean. We need him to be a little mean. Because we're too nice right now. We're too nice. Borders open, and it's all fun and game. Let everybody in until they kill one of your family members. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's probably decent ones coming over here, but if they're decent, they'll go through the right way and do the right thing. So let me move the calls. Let me go to Serge out of Texas. Serge, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel.
How's it going, Serge?
How are you? Hey, I noticed in the comments that everybody was getting distracted by Mark, and you handled Mark with love, which is
right on.
Trying to understand. Even if you don't agree, there was no judgment passed at all. And for that, you were hung on the cross, just like your brother. So shout out to you on that.
Right on.
You was hung for that, man.
Appreciate it.
But what I noticed though is Mark is not racist, man.
You say he's not racist?
Nope.
And explain what you mean by that.
He has hate, like we all do.
I see.
Majority of us, and everybody is getting a thrill out of calling him racist because the devil in them want them to think that they're better than Mark because they're not like that.
Man, that's a great point. Yeah, it's totally. I never thought Mark was racist. I never. Yeah. He may be hate. He may have anger or have this hate in his heart or whatever, but I never thought he was racist because I noticed as well when it comes to, and you let me know what you think, is that it is the word racism. I've always heard JLP say this, but I haven't always understood it. But the word racism really is just another way of taking your eyes off you and being able to attach something to somebody else. And think that, well, I'm not racist, so I can call him racist. It's just another victim thing, and people use it just to put other people down so they can not look at themselves. If you call it hate, then everybody else will realize, oh, I'm hateful too. And they would judge less and look in the mirror more. But go ahead, finish your point.
Yeah, I think that if we just, focused on I can see how the devil can make us a little distracted. Because even when Mark was talking, I was spamming in the comments. I'm like, Joel, let me in because I want to ask some questions. Merge the call, because I just had questions. Devil and me talking about some. Oh, Joel ain't asking the right question. You need to get in there and ask some questions. And because I just wanted to know, like, well, Mark, what does an IQ test have to do with the spiritual battle? Is there no spiritual battle? I wanted to begin to ask him questions that mattered, because he was so right about, which is why you were agreeing on points. He was so right about, what the blacks are doing, and then history that me and you may be both unaware about because it don't matter.
Right.
So he could be right about that, and that's fair enough, but he's doing no different than when the Israelites say that they're the chosen people. So when he's doing that, he's getting not him, but the devil in him getting a thrill from that, because I understand, because living my life, I think 19 to 23. Oh, I love me some Louis Farrakhan. Matter of fact, Louis Farrakhan, Khalid Muhammad, when he did that show with Donahue, man, that was amazing for me at that time. So
I get it.
So I totally understand where Mark is coming from, and I think we need to show Mark love by not judging him and thinking we.
Yeah, just try to understand. Questions. Yeah, and not to cut you off here, Serge. I'm just looking at time, but that's why I ask questions to understand, because there's always a method to reason why people believe what they believe, and if you get to the bottom of it, you have a clear understanding of, oh, okay, I can see their point of view on it, and Mark is not wrong in entirely of what the things he says about certain things. He's actually on the money, and I like people who stand firm and strong in their beliefs, but I do think that he misses the mark on the spiritual thing, on the spiritual side of just God and how he designed people in general. So to me it's less about the color and more about the character. Are we overcoming? And when you call somebody a racist or you look down upon them, that's just you thinking that you're better than the next and not really looking in the mirror. So it's an interesting thing, man. I appreciate it,
Mark,
sir.
If you're listening, I just want to say, Mark, if you're listening, I'm black, and I just want to understand you better, and I like your points, and I hope to talk to you on the Hank Report soon.
Right on, Serge. I appreciate it, man, and maybe we'll get into what is love tomorrow.
Yeah, we done with that.
All right, man.
Later.
Amazing stuff. I'm glad I finally got the chance to talk to Mark, because I've been wanting to ask him those questions for a long time. I've been listening to the Hank Report, American Anchor Baby, and their shows are a different type of topic than mine, a different type of pace. So not everybody that calls on their shows call my show, and that's understandable. So it was nice to kind of to have Mark call. Well, I didn't have him calling; he called in on his own, and to talk to him and kind of pick his brain on those things. But good conversation. Let me see time here. Let me check these super chats. Let me see. I didn't get to anything on the topic today. Zero. I got to change my show title, thumbnail, everything. But that's okay, because I liked it. I like this today. Let me check. Oh, Chris sent the super chat yesterday. Shout out to Chris. Appreciate it, Chris. Right on. Fist bump to Chris. Let me check any more. Nice. Cool. Let me see here. I got a couple minutes left here, so I'm going to try to move another call. Let me see. Let me go to Frederick out of Los Angeles. Frederick, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Joel.
What's going on, Fred?
Man, you a sellout today, boy.
How'd I sell out? How'd I sell out?
You let Mark tell you that blacks never created civilization.
Well, I don't know.
Whites was taught how to bathe by blacks.
Well, that's your word versus his.
You don't know your history and doing us a disfavor.
I don't.
That's why we deserve what we get, because people like you put them in agreement and make them think they right.
No, because he's not. Because I pointed out that he's not right in the spiritual sense, and that's all that matters to me.
You was agreeing.
No, because
most black. Go ahead.
No, but let me tell you. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me fix your.
Yeah,
let me fix your volume. Hold on one second. Let me fix your volume. No, I was saying that because for one, that's just your word versus his. So if you're saying that blacks ran the country or the blacks they invented something or whatever, then now you have your belief, and then Mark says no, the whites did it.
Fact.
It don't matter though. Belief. It ain't important.
It is important if you co-sign it and don't let him say and believe that.
How is that important
That's
though?
Not true. He's spreading lies on your show.
How is that important? But how is that important though?
We need to differentiate between the lies that y'all
why does that matter?
With, like Nick is Catholic and hate Chinese and Asians. we don't know the truth no more.
But
but
that's not important though, because we can't prove that. We really can't prove spiritual things either. But it's not important.
Can't prove that Nick wasn't raised Catholic.
I know, but the point is that why is that important? Who invented what? Are you capable today? The point is if Frederick just as capable as Mark? That's my point. Yes.
You said
that's
no.
all that matters to me. No, I didn't.
You said no.
No, I didn't.
You said there's some blacks that's smart that are capable as white.
Yeah,
that's everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That white ever done, we excelled in it. So what are you talking about?
Right. Everybody is equally capable. That was my point that I made. But I can't prove that what Mark is saying, that whites created everything and
you can
all
prove
that stuff.
That white,
but just like because you're gonna say
American white,
the
Germans to build satellites. Americans didn't build shit over here.
Or you can't. Why are you saying that? You know you can't be talking like that on the air. This ain't Nick's show.
Last word, I'm sorry, but they didn't build nothing. They needed help for the satellites and space program. They didn't just go to the moon, and whites did that.
But why is that so important to you? Why is that so important to you? Why do we need to know our history?
You lie on your show, and then if they go and make policies of people who think like Mark to put us in a bad position because you're agreeing with them and like, see, that's what they saying. Even the blacks agree with us. Let's make policies that put them in a lower position, in a lower working class.
Crazy people will make policies who don't see things clearly, which we already have that anyway. If they're seeing clear, if people are seeing what I'm saying about what's important, is that recognizing that all people are capable, then guess what? If all people knew that everybody was capable, then maybe they would start inventing and building stuff now, the blacks, the Asians, whatever, and then they can prove to people that everybody is capable. But instead, they're like Frederick trying to prove to the world that, no, the whites are lying. They're lying. We did history too. We did it too. Don't forget about us. I don't care. Nobody else should care.
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is you're letting somebody who lost the war talk about today when we're already in progress. The whites already let blacks work.
But I don't need to. But why you got to prove that to people?
Are loving blacks. No, you're talking to the few whites that hate blacks, and you're acting like they're relevant today. The whites already made a bond with the blacks, and you have a few racist whites that watch your show and watch Bond, and you act like that's America today. That is not America today. Most Americans love blacks. They are protest and agreeance with Black Lives Matter. They let in affirmative action. Mark is of the past and wants to go back to slavery, and you're saying, well, the politicians are crazy and they might do that. Wrong. We already passed that, and you letting the past talk in the future like they're relevant. No. And his time has came and gone. Mark is crying because blacks run America today. There's a black woman about to be his mama, and he's mad about it. And Mark can never have his country back. And yes, he lost his country. Yes, white people love blacks. And yes, the South would never rise again because white people won't let it.
But can I tell you something, Frederick? Can I tell you something, Frederick?
White people, like they doing over in UK, they got a stand with your name on it, Mark. Going out there in the street.
Okay, but Frederick, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Because you sound just as right as he does to me.
No, I don't.
No, but why don't you? But see, let me make
wrong.
listen. You sound just as right as he does to me. Because guess what? I don't know and I don't care. And the point is that it's nice to know these things, and you're smart. But listen,
I call in because people.
You're a smart guy too. You're a smart guy too. But I'm not. What you're basically doing, you called in and did exactly what Mark did. He gave me information.
I did not say we are smarter.
Yeah, because you said
lying.
I know, but you're just saying. And you didn't say that part. You're right. You didn't say that they're smarter. But all you did was you're giving information just like he did, and it's the same exact thing.
But if his information is false and mine's true, how am I doing the same
because
thing?
Who says yours is false and who says who's true?
Because
that's why I said it's not important.
You don't know the difference between facts. Did you go to school, Joel? Did they teach you nonsense?
It's not important. It's not important.
It is important. If you don't know the difference between truth and false, who's gonna watch your show?
No, because that's not truth and false. Those are just facts and non-facts.
Truth and false.
Truth and false.
Truth and false.
The truth. The truth is this.
Joel, what are you doing?
The truth is that you and Mark seem to not be getting. The truth is, because you guys seem to not care about. The truth is Frederick capable of doing anything that he wants to that everybody else has been done in the history, old times, new times? Is Frederick capable? And Mark needs to know, is Mark capable? And that's all that matters today. All this other stuff is nice to know. There's nothing wrong with knowing it and being able to use it when it makes sense. But it's not that important. Why am I going to try to convince you that blacks did it first? I don't care. Why do you care? And then I got to end. Why not just care about Frederick and his family that they got it right?
And build it. Joel,
I don't care if we came in from yesterday.
I know. I'm explaining to you. You're going to let me talk. I'm going to let you. We came up with the concept of God, and they act like we came up with slavery. And they're throwing
But stop saying
around.
we.
No.
Who?
We. Yeah, I'm talking about the black people. You're not black.
But who cares?
Don't listen to when I say we. If you're not black, don't listen to when I say we.
No.
We get angry
I'm
because
saying,
I'm talking about we.
Why do you want that? Why do you want that?
For no reason, because we have no power, because they want to keep us in a position of certitude, as you heard Mark say.
Yeah.
Because they scared of the real power, and you're okay with that.
But why do you want that to be true? Why do you want blacks to be the ones? Why do you want that truth, quote unquote, to get out?
Blacks to be anything.
I know, but why do you
certitude.
want that truth to be revealed to the world, that blacks were the first one to do it? What difference would that make?
To the world.
What difference would that make?
Is why I called.
What difference would that make?
You're agreeing with nonsense. It's already been revealed to the world.
But what difference would that make?
You on agreeing with nonsense.
But what difference would that make if Frederick is right?
What difference does it make? I don't know.
And nothing's going to change.
For super chats, but if you don't know truth from false, I don't think you're going to get too many super chats, buddy. I'm just telling you the facts. They got you on record saying majority of blacks are slower than white. You done lost your black card, Joel. You better watch. No, I ain't going to say that, but they going to try to act like. But no, I'm being serious. If you ever try to be a politician, they're going to play today's show. And you're going to lose all your black votes.
Listen, if I ever need some information, I'm going to go to Frederick and Mark for it. I appreciate it, man. I got to go.
Oh, my God. Go, look, you got the internet. It's the age of information, man. Go look up all the black civilizations, and the first college that the college ever invented was made by blacks. Look up the Moors. Do your homework, and Mark could quit lying and act like, because he's been lied to by the his people.
I got
you know what I'm saying? The blacks got one attitude, but huh?
I got to end. I hear you out. I hear you, man.
Okay. All right. Take it easy, Joe.
All right, man. You too. Cause I gotta go. Lord have mercy. Listen, if I ever become a politician and I need some information about the whites, I'm going to Mark and James. And whenever I need some information about the blacks, I'm going to Fred. But whatever I need, what matters, I'm going to God, because that's all that matters. Anyway, now I'm getting black. I got to end, y'all. Sorry, callers. I got to end. I'm back here tomorrow, though, so we can pick back up if you decide to call in again. I appreciate you guys, Rick, and others on the line. Appreciate you guys tuning in. American Anchor Baby is coming in at 4 p.m. today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We just got into some mess. The races, black, white, Trump, Elon. But it was fun. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm back here for some more. Man, who knows what we're going to get to? We didn't get to none of the topics that we planned to. So who knows what the Lord got in store. But appreciate you guys. I'm back here tomorrow. American Anchor Baby coming at 4 p.m. Punchy TV. Subscribe. We got a new episode coming out next Monday. And all kinds of good stuff in the works. I'll see you guys next time. I got to go. Bye.